Good morning, Kerry Wood here, Auckland Centre of Business Excellence. Thanks so much for joining us on this webinar today. This is possibly one of the most exciting, stressful, emotional times in business in New Zealand's history. So we've got about 50 minutes of really quite fast-paced stuff and information to give to you. And as we work through this, we'll obviously have questions at the end, and I probably won't stop my flow, my go-to stuff to get that to you. So I'm going to share the screen with you now, and we'll make a start. We've got a lot to get through, and as I say, if any questions, just smack them into the question at the bottom there, in the bottom of the screen, and I'll get to those on the way through, because there is a bit to do, and stick with me. My email address, if I don't get a chance to answer your question, or if you want to smack something to me a little bit later on, then feel free to do that. But we'll make a big start. Okay, I'm just going to stop the video and we'll stick with the presentation. I hope you enjoy this. Really look forward to your feedback at the end. Okay, build a champion team in a crisis. There's never been a time in New Zealand while we've been where we are now, where business owners have had this opportunity. So it's an opportunity for business owners. So if you think about it that way, I just want to start with a definition we all know. Team, together everyone achieves more. No time in business do you ever need to have a better team, a more structured team, a more performing team, a more engaged team than you need right now. And you should not think that if you're a one-man band, a two-man band, or a three-man band, or a person who has 500 people underneath you, that is your team. We all work with 4 or 5 teams, and all of those teams are looking for leaders, are looking to be a champion team, are looking to come out of the COVID-19 challenges better than they went in. If you think about your 3 or 4 teams you're a part of, yes, you've got the team that you work with, your staff, your team members, and they're looking to you as a leader. But you've also got your clients and your customers. They're also looking to you to be a leader. They are looking to you to be the best you can be, to give them the information, to know what's going on, because everybody at this time is looking for a leader. You've got your clients. Then, of course, you've got your suppliers. Don't think your suppliers, just because often they're bigger companies than you, aren't looking for leaders. They are looking for more leaders than you can possibly think about. They are looking for people to go forward. If you go to your suppliers and goes, how do you think about doing this? I want to do this. Can you help me? They will. They're looking for leaders. And the last thing is obviously your community, people around you. All your people around you will know you're in business, and they'll be looking for you to be the leader, because together, a team, together, everybody achieves more. Never, ever decry the fact that as a leader, you have such a great opportunity, such a great responsibility to drive society, to drive your team, to drive your suppliers, and to drive your clients forward. They're looking to you. Okay, so first key to having a winning team in a crisis is strong leadership. Strong people don't put others down, they lift them up. Strong leadership is the most important thing that we need to be looking at right now. People who want to be leaders, people who want to take the responsibility, people who have absolute clarity and focus on what they need to achieve. So right about now, let's think about the situation that a strong leader finds themselves in. The situation is that the speed of the COVID situation and developments around it are happening so dashed quickly that it needs to be mirrored in the speed of your leadership response. It's no good saying sort of on Wednesday of next week, oh, we're going to level 3. When it was announced a week ago, you need to pivot straight away. You need to drive yourself in to doing all the preparations you need to go to level 3 or level 2. You need to be leading. You should now be writing all of your stuff for level 2, because you know that it's probably going to happen on or around, all being equal, the 11th of May. You need to move at the speed of the development of the COVID situation. But all of your speed, all of the stuff you do, you have to have this entire new approach around empathy, around thoughts about what's going on, and around family, etc. You can't just bowl in there like a bull in a china shop. You've got to take it easy and make it work. Drag your people with you. Be the leader, reflect in what's happening around you. because it's a new situation and it's a new environment. A lot of your people will be working from home. A lot of your people would have spent time at home. A lot of your people would have had more time sitting on their tush than they've ever had before. Now is the time. It's all new for them. And they're a part of all this new societal thoughts and values. I don't know, but I think it's going to be a little while before we rake into a meeting and we put our hand out and shake someone else's hand. It's definitely not going to happen this week or next week or maybe in the next month. It's going to be a little while before we go to a bar where there's an All Black match on and there's 200 or 300 of us in the bar standing shoulder to shoulder, because society's thoughts and values have changed. The whole idea about what's going on in society has changed. And as a leader, a strong leader, you've got to mirror your response and your thoughts with the speed that's going on, and mirror the thoughts and the values. Remember that uncertainty goes to fear, which goes to worry, which goes to negativity. If you are a strong leader and you're aware that everything's moving quickly and you communicate, then it will be a lot better for your people and a lot better for you. Remember that life and games are just like a mirror. Now, what means by that is a communication you give out is actually the reaction you get back. Just to repeat that, it's the reaction you get that is the communication. So the people who work for you, your bank accounts, your cash, your business, how much you're paying your people, the relationships they're having with their people, the relationships you're having with them, the cars, the clothes, and everything else is a mirror of what's going on for you. You are the leader, so you have to actually set higher standards for you than you want from anybody else. The returning of phone calls, the returning of texts, the answers to emails, the talking to clients. Everything is a mirror. Everything you're having happen in your life now, everything you're having happen in your business right now is a mirror of how you are behaving, the mindset you have. Are you going into the day being courageous or being invincible? Are you being tenacious and following this stuff through? When you're dealing with your staff, are you being abundant? Are you showing self-love, and are you limitless at what you're giving them? Are you grateful for where you are? Remember that life and everything else that happens around you is simply a mirror of what you put out. Most important statement to take out of this, that communication is the reaction you get. So when people are in their new environment at home, if you're not getting the response you want, if you're not getting the reporting you want, if you're not getting the engagement you want, then that's a mirror of how you are behaving. And if you think about this, you'll all be across the identity iceberg. All we can see in other people and other entities, other businesses, is the results. That is, we see their actions, their behavior, and their decisions. You can't see anything below the line. A little bit like, the Titanic. It hit the top of the iceberg, and it wasn't the top of the iceberg that sunk the Titanic. The thing that's happened amazingly now is what empowers all of the actions, behavior, and decisions is that our environment has changed. The environment has changed remarkably. Not only are people working from home, people are fearful. People are being fed so much negativity by the media and by what's around them that they're now in fear of what's going on. So their environment has changed. And this will and has changed their identity and their values. If you think about, in my world, I used to have my in-laws over every Sunday night for dinner. Now, they haven't been over on a Sunday night for dinner for 4 or 5 weeks now, and their identity has changed, because now they're saying, okay, well, we can't possibly come over for dinner, until we're in level 2. I could never imagine a time when they wouldn't have come over for dinner. The environment that we now live in has changed, and this will change everyone's actions, their behavior, and it will change their decisions. So the skills are the same, but the identity of who they are and some of their values and some of their beliefs have changed. So you have to be really across this and be aware of the environmental change around them, because that will change their behavior, their decision, and their actions. For example, if you're talking to a staff member and their 10-year-old son comes running across and slams shut the laptop while you're on a Zoom meeting, it's not their fault. It's not their standard behavior or action. When he slams it shut, when they lift it up, she might use bad language, but it's not you. It's just the environment has changed. So all the results you're seeing, everything you're seeing, is the result of environment being changed around you. Leadership is about passion, responsibility, positivity, and clarity. The bottom line is, People follow people who are passionate. You have to be passionate about what you're doing in your business. You have to be passionate about the outcomes you're going to get. You have to be passionate in your communication. You have to be passionate in your desire to work with your clients, with your suppliers, with your people. You have to accept responsibility, not only responsibility because it's your business and because the benefits come to you eventually, but the responsibility that you are a leader and you have these people. You are responsible for paying these people, for paying your suppliers, for servicing your clients. The responsibility is what you do, and that's why you get the rewards. And positive, the bottom line is that we are going to come out of this bigger, better, and stronger than we ever went in. Business owners who adopt a really positive, responsible and passionate attitude, put stuff in place, will end up with better businesses than when they started 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 weeks ago now. You have to be passionate. And the last one, positive, responsible, passionate, strong leadership. You have to have absolute clarity in your decisions, in your behavior, and in your standards. There will be times when the clarity says that there has to be change, when the clarity says that that change might not be what some people would think, but you have to have absolute clarity in what you're doing. Leading strongly. Strong leaders will be communicating every day with their team, every day by text, by phone. What about a very short video filmed on your smartphone and just sent to 4 or 5 staff members? You'll be communicating every day with what your expectations are. I've used making all technology, yes, technology. By that I mean none of this. You don't need the flashiest technology in the world. You want technology that everybody understands. You want technology that's simple to use. You want technology that everyone says yes to. If you can't find technology like that, there's a really new tool on the market called Google. Type into Google, can I have training in whatever it is? And there'll be a million videos. We're using Zoom for this webinar. If you type in, how do I do webinars in Zoom, there's probably 2 million videos on YouTube and in 35 or 50 languages that will help you do this. Spend the time selecting and using and training in yes technology. Yes, everybody can use it. Set new standards. You have to set new standards. You're the leader. You're the strong leader. Set new standards. What do you expect from reporting? What do you expect from phone answering? What do you expect for response? Set the new standards. And then the most imperative thing is you have to live those standards. You have to absolutely believe that these standards are going to achieve what you want with a clarity that is mind-boggling. Believe in the new standards and live them. It's a new world. All the time empathetic. How do I help? How do I make things easier? How do I make things better? You are the strong leader. You lead people. You make them work with you. The days of smacking someone over a head have gone for it. You have to now lead empathetically. How can I make this work? You've got people currently working at home with their families around, sometimes with internet problems, with cars might be going past, even though they're not meant to be. All of that. How do you lead empathetically? How do you use social media videos to maintain humanity? As I said, use your smartphone to send a very short video to a couple of staff members. Maybe set up a company Facebook page that's private, where you can post stuff on, funny stuff. Maybe have different things happening that is fun for them. I know that in here my wife's upstairs on a Friday. Her business that she's with on Friday, they all get together, and I think last Friday they had a funny hat day, and they were all on Zoom, and my wife and my daughter and my sons are upstairs with blooming stupid hats on, and doing this hat party. It was great. This same company's planning an Anzac service tomorrow on Zoom for all of their staff. How can you do this? How can you be how can you use social media, videos to maintain humanity? Look forward positively. We're doing this week. What are we doing tomorrow that's going to achieve this? What are we doing next week that's going to achieve this? What are we doing next month? That's really great. Setting up a plan and milestones to show exactly what numbers you're going to achieve. We're going to do this day, this week, this month, this year. Look forward further, because you are going to be here in 2 years. Don't change everything. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just make it work. Pivot everything 100 times to make it work. Have a plan and have milestones in place. So if you're looking to do, you know, $90,000 worth of sales in a month, and there's 30 days in the month, then we need $3,000 a month, sorry, a day, $3,000 a day, and track that and report that and celebrate that. Know the numbers backwards and forwards. Know the numbers backwards and forwards. If you need $3,000 a day, how many clients do you have to call? How many have to come onto your website? How many people have to do whatever they do to make your business work? The bottom line is that you have to, just absolutely have to, know that what the numbers are to make the people work. Make those numbers. How many clients have you called today? What are you going on with? What's going on? Now the difficult one. Make those hard calls. Every now and again, you're a great leader, you're working really hard, you're doing what's going on, you're communicating, but sometimes you have to make a hard call. You've got A clients, B clients, C clients, D clients. Now's the time to make that call and get rid of, take a machete to your D clients. They either move up to clients that you can deal with, or they become gone. Look at your C clients. How do you work with them? Where do you make the easiest money? The old Pareto principle. The hard calls also, you know, we've talked about the teams you've got. Do you really, really, really want to sit at the end of your letterbox talking to your neighbor who's doom and gloom and doom and gloom? Don't do it. Make those calls. And the last one about leading strongly. Who are you confiding in? My name's Kerry off the Auckland Centre of Business Excellence. I spend probably 30–40% of my time just talking to business owners about what they're doing, where they're going, how this is working out, who are you confiding in? Have you got a mentor or a coach, someone you have, or a networking group? Confide in someone. Don't become an island. Being a leader is about talking, communicating, being better than you ever have been. Leading strongly. Serious times require strong leadership. Okay, so leading strongly is great, but leading strongly without common goals is leading blindly. Common goals, everybody in your business, it's never, ever, ever more important than right now that everybody knows your goals. All of your teams know your goals. Imagine this, imagine going in and seeing one of your clients and going, "G'day, Bob," and saying, "Can I have a meeting with you about what I want to achieve in the next 6 months? I promise you that your supplier will go, 'Hey, that's great,' and he'll make coffee." Sit down and talk to every part of your teams about your goals, about what you're going to do. Imagine sitting down and talking with your biggest client going, "Hey, I'd like to talk to you about what I'd like to achieve in the next 3 months, 6 months, year with you." Your clients aren't going to go, "No," they're going to go, "Heck, this is great. This is leadership. We want to be involved." What are the goals you've set for your team, for your clients, for your suppliers? The SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, reasonable, and time-bound. You'll all know that SMART acronym. How are they communicated? How are they understood and agreed? Imagine if you had that meeting with your team and you agreed these goals. How are you reporting them? How are you telling the people? If they're on Zoom and they're working at home every day, do they get a Google Doc with where they're at? If they're in the workshop, is there a screen up there? The old 60-inch screen. By the way, they're only $4.99 from the warehouse. A 60-inch screen with "This is where we're at with efficiency." How are we going on profitability? How are we doing this? How does this work? If you're talking to your suppliers and you've said, "Look, you know, we want to grow our business with you by 60% in the next 6 months," how are you reporting that? Are they all understood? Are they all agreed? And if you've got these goals, what are the Lego steps that have you got in place, that Lego steps that you've got in place to make them happen? You're not just going to walk in there and go, "Oh, we're going to do $1 million this year." What are the Lego steps that you have to do? Does everybody around you know those Lego steps? Does everyone know those numbers? If we have to make 100 phone calls a day to get 10 sales, and each sale's worth so much, does everybody know we have to do 100 calls a day? And if we are working 5 hours a day, that's 20 calls an hour. Does everybody know if it's 20 calls an hour, it's 1 call every 3 minutes? What are the Lego steps? Does all your team know these numbers? And do all of them know how we're going to get there? And of course, the big one is, who must you be as a strong leader to make these goals happen. Who must you be? The bottom line is that it's not about being the same person. The world has changed remarkably. So you have to be a different person now to what you were 6-8 weeks ago. The person you have to be now has to be more empathetic, has to be more positive, has to absolutely and utterly communicate better, has to communicate more often. Gone are the days where you can just say, do it my way or don't do it. The bottom line is you have to get everybody on board. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So who do you have to be? If you think back 10 minutes, I said, life is a mirror. Who do you have to be in your communication with the people you're communicating with to make it work for them, to make it look like they know that they can trust you, that they know that this is a strong team, that they know you know what you're doing. The bottom line is that if you can't change, you won't be able to change your future. Virtual is the new normal, and it's a vital, vital thing. If you're setting goals, if virtual is the new normal, what is your written communication plan? What is on the wall in front of you that says, this is what I'm going to do? The most interesting thing about a written communication plan is that if you're going to make 10 phone calls, you actually only have to have one thing to communicate, because the 10 people don't know what the previous person heard. So if you're calling 10 clients, the reason for the call is obviously to be abundant. The reason for the call is to be empathetic. The reason for the call is to hold your brand and hold your values. The reason for your call is to provide a service to them. But the script you write, your communication plan, you only have to have one thing for those 10 calls. But you need a written communication plan for your 4 teams. And your 4 teams, you've got the team that work with you. You've got your communication plan for your suppliers. You've got your communication plan for your clients, and your communication plan for your community, for your family, for the people who are around you. Don't think this is a lot of work. It's not that hard. You just have to think about how I'm going to do this and set the standard to do it. Think about your plan for your people. If you've got people who are working at home or you're not seeing, as I said earlier, you need to speak to everybody every day. Every day. It doesn't take long to make that phone call, to send that text, to send a quick video. This is the human management. People are alone. Don't let them feel alone. Be the guy that's providing the positive, clear, focused input. Hey, how are you going? How can I help? What's going on? If you have this on every day, this communication plan of, I call it my human management. And I liken the human management one to the chat you have when you're walking past the photocopier if you're in a big building. G'day, Bob. How you going? How's the wife? It's just that human management. It's feeling alone. The second part of your new communication plan should be the huddle. 3 huddles a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The Monday ones, hey, how was your weekend? Let's move on with this. Let's get stuck into this. How are we going? There might be 3 or 4 or 5 of you in the huddle, but it's just a very quick 15-minute huddle. The Wednesday one, how are we going? How's this all working for you guys? Oh, that's great. Move on. The Friday one's the same. I like the huddles to what you might have. You know, when you're having lunch in the lunchroom, or you've just walked out to grab a coffee because it's lunchtime, you're sitting down, there's 3 or 4 of you, and you're just talking about what's going on at work and how it's all working, and this client and that supplier and what's happening here. But then there's the meetings, and the meetings are vitally important. If your meetings now do not have an agenda that's black and white, I'm talking black and white, have an agenda. This is the meeting agenda. We're working through this. Have a plan, and out of the plan, have numbers, and out of the numbers, have reporting. And in your meetings, this is what you're talking about. The meetings are short. If they're online, they're short, but they're very focused. This is what we're doing. This is the plan. We're working the plan. Where are the numbers? What's happening here? The meetings happen, and they happen very regularly. Set the meetings in concrete. But because of the new world we're in and the new societal values, you actually don't have to be in the office. You can do it. Pull over to the side of the road, not on the motorway. Pull over to the side of the road and have your meeting on Zoom on your phone. But have a report and have a meeting agenda that says, this is what we said we were going to do. This is where we are. Make this the step, the new standard in everything you're doing, because in setting the new standards, the business performance will improve. So having your one-to-one photocopy your chats, having your one-to-many huddles, think of that as your lunch chats, having your meetings with an agenda, with a report on your plan, making it absolutely happen. And then you, the leader, the strong leader who set the goals, live these standards. If the meeting's meant to be at 10:15 on a Wednesday, then nothing should stop you, the strong leader, with passion, focus, and clarity, being at that meeting. You could be, anywhere in the world, but you have to be on that meeting at this point, driving it hard, setting the new standards, living the new standards, because that's the most important thing. And everybody will come on board. Vision. The reason you do this is because you'll enroll people and inspire people. Recent research said that previous to COVID-19, the average engagement rate in Australasia for people working in businesses sat at about 22%. This is an opportunity to get a lot more engagement. So the plan is transparent and visual to all. Don't just use the thing that we're virtual not to do it. You can do it at home, but when they come to the office, everyone in the next 1 week, 1 month, 6 months is going to come back to the office. Use this as a step forward. Use this as a this is how we're seeing this. It's transparent and visible to all. Most important, how in the name of good gracious are we going to celebrate? When you get to these goals, when you do those things, how are we going to celebrate? What are we going to do? If you're a one-man person, are you and your partner going to go out for dinner because she's your support network? Are you going to thank your supplier for supplying you 6 times the amount? What are you going to do for your best clients to celebrate what they're doing? What are you doing with your team to celebrate? Put the celebration in concrete, because you know you've got to do it. Because simply everybody wants to succeed. So everyone becomes part of the success. All of your teams know the plan, know the numbers, how you're going to celebrate, and everybody wants to be a part of that. Oh, excuse me, just a glass of water. I've just started drinking water actually with a little bit of lemon juice in it, and it's quite amazing. So, strong leadership, agreed goals. The next thing that you've got to have are rules of the game. Now, if everything gets tied together, rules of the game are simply important, and they are massively important. We all know about these. We all know the rules. I want to give you an example. Let's imagine we're all playing soccer on the beach. All of us are playing soccer. We might have had a couple of glasses of wine. We're playing soccer on the beach. It's an average game of soccer, and we don't actually pick on Mary. She actually stopped it with her hands and all that, because it's a game of social soccer and it's going really well. Later that day, we go and watch a game of soccer between some schoolboy stuff, and it's actually not a bad game of soccer. It's okay, but there's a guy there in a little black uniform, and he's got a whistle, and that's going all very well. And then that night, we watch soccer on TV, and it's England playing Brazil, and the guys are not only in uniform, but they're playing great soccer, and there's a guy on the middle in a black uniform blowing whistles, and there's guys on the side of the field, and there's a guy with a drone with technology and all that. Interesting. The rules for soccer are the same, but the adherence to the rules, the focus on the rules, as we move up those 3 games, has changed dramatically. Several other things have changed dramatically. The quality of the game, the quality of performance has changed remarkably, from the beach game to the schoolboy game to the international game, and yet the rules are the same. And the officials for the rules, we're on the beach, you might have had someone's wife going, that's a goal, or someone's husband going, no, you're offside. The change from there to the internationals, the officials are now so hard on the rules because the rules are being tightened. As the rules tighten and improve, the game improves for the spectators and the game performance improves. This is exactly the same in business. The tighter the rules are that you adhere to, the more everyone understands the rules, the more everyone works on the rules, the better the company will perform. Very simple rules, such as turning up on time, doing your reports on time, being online on your meetings, being in reasonable dress. Set new standards. Set the rules. Get everybody to agree the rules, agree them. They all will. And then then you set the standards. Use the reporting and the rules through technology. With all Google Docs and Dropbox and all this, you can have reports and rules. You can have all this being so transparent. It's frightening. And the thing is that it's transparency to all, and everyone can see it. Enforce it, make the changes stick, but be a little bit flexible, because sometimes, you know, even in sports, sometimes the rules get changed. Loose culture versus a tight culture. Know your numbers and know what's happening. The bottom line is that as you tighten up your rules, some people won't be able to come with you. Not everybody can play first 11 soccer at high school and then play international soccer. As you tighten the rules about reports, some people will not be able to make that change. Some people will struggle with that change. The bottom line is that that's a fact of life. If you think about sport, if you think about music, if a music organization gets better and better and better, some of the people you have in that organization might not be able to make that leap. Then we have to, if you go back a few moments, you have to make that decision. They're not making that leap. You have to be empathetic and either train them, find a role they can do, or then the other option is they have to move to somewhere where they can fit. Now, the thing is that if you tighten the numbers, tighten the rules, tighten the behaviors, tighten the rules of the game, people will see that they don't fit and they will vote themselves. The tighter your numbers, the tighter the adherence to the rules, the better the performance of the team, the better the performance of the company. Action plan. It's all very well having strong leadership, agreed goals and rules of the game, but you need to have an action plan for every person there. The action plan is really simple. The action plan is really who does what by when. Clear direction and understanding of new ideas. Knowing your numbers, planning, reporting milestones, executing and celebrate. Having your report at your meetings, your once a week meetings, against timelines and performance constantly. Having absolute clarity that this is what you must be doing. Your action plan is based around the 3 premises. Who does it? That is, which member of your team is responsible for delivering this to you, the client, whatever. How will they do this? What's going to happen? That's who. Does what, exactly what they're going to do. The more detailed you are about does what, the more focused you are on process, the more focused you are on quality, the better the outcome will be here. By when. Nothing happens without a timeline. Without a timeline, you go nowhere. Without a timeline, the bottom line is you actually have no performance. Without a timeline, you have no deadline to make it happen. Clear direction, absolute clarity and focus on this by the leader will mean that everybody is focused on this. When you do your one-on-one calls in front of you, you should have exactly the what they've meant to done by when of every team member or every team leader, so that when you're talking, you are talking from an empowered viewpoint. So you know that they're meant to have delivered 10 of this by this timeline. And the bottom line is, if you want an example of this, go and watch one of the leading franchises for food. They have, it's set up like a production line. This person does this. And if you look above them, you'll see the little clocks. It's all timed. And then it goes and bang, out comes the burgers. Bang, bang, bang. Make everything you do into a production line. Now, there's an interesting thing about this, and that is you put a process and you systemize the process. That is, everything should be systemized. You should know exactly what's going on, how they're going to answer the phone, how they're going to take the message, what's the timeline for a response. But you have to humanize the exception, because we all know that what happens in business sometimes there's a little bit mucking around. To give an example, if you go to McDonald's and order a burger and say, but I want it without tomato, you as a client don't get the burger in the same amount of time because they make the burger to your specifications. So in spite of the best processes in the world, you have to humanize the exception. Now, as a strong leader, the most important thing is that with the common goal, which is sales, revenue, customer service, customer satisfaction, repeat business, your goals, by allowing people to do this, you're allowing growth in what they do. Your action plan is who does what, by when, and all three have to be very, very, very clear. The fifth point of strong leadership is support risk taking. This is an interesting one because most business owners don't see it this way. To explain supporting risk taking, it's allowing thought through parameters and agreed rules and allows them to express what they're doing. And you have to train through this. As a business owner, all you can do is train this to make this happen. For example, there is no point in having someone who's not trainable to take risk. Let me explain how this might work. You know, if you've got a sales environment and someone comes into your retail shop and they look at an item which is there for $100 and they say, look, I don't have $100, I only got $95. Do you allow your salesperson to sell that item for $95? We could argue that you say, well, the salesperson can ring me and I can make that decision. But in this particular case, you're at the doctor and not available for 60 minutes. So you should be training all your sales staff that they have an amount that they can discount or that they can work with. The big retailers, Harvey Norman's, Noel Leemy's, they have this in place. If you go in and there's something on the shelves for $9.95 and you say, oh, you know, can you do us a deal? The guy doesn't run away. He'll do a deal for you. If you try and push him around below his parameters, then or what he's agreed, what he's allowed to do, then he will go and ask the floor manager or the manager and come back to you. But there's another thing, the floor manager with more knowledge, more training, more time on the floor, he's got a higher level of authority. What supporting risk-taking does is allows the person to make decisions that benefit customer service, that benefit customer interaction, and by that obviously drive customer experience, which drives recurring revenue, which is what we're all after here. You know, I had an example just the other day, I have to say, with a client of ours, electrical contracting client. Electrician was on site and he had done the repair, and sitting there right in the kitchen where he was a very, very badly smashed double power point. So the electrician, the client wasn't at home, so the electrician took the initiative and thought, well, he couldn't leave it like that because it was broken and it was in the kitchen, so he replaced it. And when he hopped back in the van and drove away, and he rang the boss of the company, that ran the leading hand, the foreman, and said, oh, I've done this. And the foreman was a little bit, it's another $20 and this, that, and the other. Wasn't quite happy. Rang the client, and the client was overjoyed. Oh, thank you, because the guy had taken a bit of initiative. Now, here's the thing. Think about it. Even if the client had said, well, that's all very well, but I didn't ask you to do it and I can't afford the $25, was the person doing it providing great customer service and doing the right thing by the client? I say to you, yes, he was. And I say to the client, the electrician, even if the client had said, look, I'm not paying for that, I didn't ask you to do it, with the electrician made a safety decision based on what he thought was best for the client and the company. Now, that is what supporting risk-taking is about. You train through all of these challenges and you train through the missteps. There will be mistakes made. There will be mistakes made, and you can have a discussion about those. But the other thing about this is you have to move very, very quickly on this if someone breaches the rules. Now, this is why rules of the game are so important. The rules of the game is we give 100% customer service. Rules of the game are we return calls within 30 minutes. Rules of the game are whatever they are. If someone is not sticking to the rules of the game and they're risk taking, they're giving of discount, they're doing of customer service, they're what I call taking risks, then you have to move very, very quickly on that. And I would suggest that those people, shouldn't be part of your team, or you retrain, bearing in mind we're in a new world and there's probably reasons for this. And the last part of support of this is 100% involvement and inclusion. This is vital, absolutely vital to what we're talking about here. We've talked a lot about rules of the game, common goals, action plans, and strong leadership. It's no point tomorrow ringing all your staff and go and starting this new regime. Tell your teams, tell the 4 teams around you that you want to be a strong leader, you want to display strong leadership. Tell them what you're going to do. Involve everybody around you in rules of the game. Imagine this. Imagine if you called a meeting of 2 or 3 of your suppliers and said, I want to talk to you about the rules of how we're going to work together. You put on a cup of coffee or a Zoom meeting, and then they provide their own coffee. And you talked about, okay, what I want to do is we want to set up rules of the game, and you have 100% inclusion. You agree about the time frames for paperwork, the time frames for response, the time frame for customer service, the time frames for returns, the time frames for payments. You agree this, then obviously you just make a little document, you send it to them. This is what we're doing. And here, guess what? You've got the start of an action plan. So 100% involvement is exactly making sure everyone's with you all the way through. Now, the same with plans. It's no good doing an action plan and if the people who it's for have no clue what the goals are, have no clue what the steps are, have no clue what the Lego blocks are. So talk to the action plan and have 100% inclusion and involvement in how this works. The other thing is that research proves that 92% of team members, staff members who know what's going on are more engaged than if they don't know. So it works. There's a really, really, really good book called Leverage. It's about the All Blacks. I strongly recommend you read it because it talks about involvement in decisions, involvement and inclusion. And if there's ever a book you should read about team, it's this book about the All Blacks, because what it talks about is strong leadership. They've all got goals. The rules of the game, it's quite interesting. In the press, actually, I think it was yesterday, there was an article about what's happening in Australian rugby and how players are all over Australian raiding castles. And well, at the moment, that hasn't happened in the All Blacks because the All Blacks keep it in-house and they work very hard. But they support amazing risk-taking. Think about when something happens in a test and the halfback or someone takes a tap kick and has a go. They support risk-taking because they all know that they're in this for the right reasons. And everything about the All Blacks and great teams is 100% involvement and inclusion. They know what's going on. They use strong technology. So if you ever want to, the best book on leadership at the moment, there's 2 really great sports books. One's called The Barcelona Way and the other one's Leverage, which is about the All Blacks. And they're great books. They talk, as I say, about strong leadership. And they talk about goals, rules of the game, action plan. And that's where the basis of this presentation comes from. So it's interesting. It creates synergy. If you can pull those 6 things together, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, it doesn't add up to 6. It adds up to a lot more. You'll find the biggest thing you'll find will improve if you go for leading your team in a strong, clear, focused, positive manner and following through those 6 things. You'll get more than that back in return. The bottom line is that people are looking to work for great leaders. Further research proves, by the way, that 86% of people leave a work environment because of a fractured relationship with the manager. Now, the manager might be the business owner, the manager might be their direct superior, the manager might be someone who's a couple above, but a fractured relationship. So by involving them in what they're doing, by giving them clear, focused outcomes, then what you'll end up having is better longevity, and people will recommend that this is where they should be, that this is the place they should be working. So lock it all in with rituals. The bottom line is that Rituals is spelt this way for a reason. The first four letters, rich. Work out what you're doing with your team communication and do it regularly. Make your huddles, whatever the time are, on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and make them a ritual. Think of every Friday one, as I was saying, my wife has a Friday ritual, and they at 4 o'clock they have some form of what would you call it? Funny thing going. It's a ritual now that they do. Think of your reporting. Make everything a ritual. And by that, I mean absolutely clear, absolutely focused. And it happens on this timeline, and it happens like this. If you make it a ritual, then obviously everybody knows exactly what's happening. Everybody knows exactly what to expect. Everybody knows exactly how they should perform. And, if you think about rituals, if you think about, church or any ceremony, the stronger the ritual, the stronger the abundance, the stronger the pageantry, the more ritualistic it is, the more we know and expect what's going on. So lock in your rituals, and here's the thing. Tell your people that it's a ritual. Hey, here's something unusual. Tell them. Say, hey, from now on, I'm going to set up a new ritual. When we start our meetings, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to tell a joke. I'm not so good at jokes, but tell someone a joke. And then maybe say, okay, we're going to send an email out. Someone's got to come up with a joke and whatever. Make it a ritual. It can be fun, but make it and then here's what will happen. Even if someone pokes the borax at a ritual, then they're involved in it. They're engaged, because to poke the borax, you have to be engaged. It's very hard to poke the borax unless you are engaged, if you understand my meaning there. So rituals, the more you can do it as part of your rules of the game. As an example, the All Blacks, they have a ritual. They go out on the field, they do the haka. And if you read Leverage, you'll see that they have a whole lot of rituals after the game in their dressing rooms, about cleaning the dressing rooms and about new players. These rituals are embedded, and these rituals are what makes them successful, what makes them work. So we're close to the end here. So, okay, things to do. Make sure you have and constantly review your internal communication plan. You have to love your internal communication plan. You have to own your internal communication plan. I don't care how you feel. I don't care what the weather's like. Love your communication plan. This is what we do. Give it some thought to what you're talking about. And remember that if you've got to ring 10 clients today, then the second client doesn't know what you said to the first client. So you actually don't have to think about 50 subjects. Never be too proud to write a script about your internal communication. Never be too proud. Think, I'm going to ring these people. I'm going to ring Bob from Bob's powder coating. What am I going to say to Bob? Think about what you're going to say to Bob, and then go, okay, so how will that fit for everybody else? Never, never, never be too proud to write a script, but you have to love, focus on, and have absolute clarity on your communication plan. Set up a talk with me regime. Now, this is important. This is not a talk to me, talk at me talk at you. This is talk with me. What this means is that people are talking with you about things. This is a really different communication style, because what it's about is it's about us having a conversation. It doesn't matter whether the person is the lowest, sorry, I don't mean that way that might sound, I apologize for that. It doesn't matter whether the person is the 15th forklift driver or the deputy CEO of the biggest company in the world. Set it up as a talk with me regime in your head. You are a leader. You are strong. You are focused. You are clear. Set up a talk with me regime. Always, always, always review and communicate goals and milestones and celebrations with all of your teams. There's, for example, if you're, I've been having a couple of conversations very recently with a couple of theatres. Communicate goals to your audiences. Communicate goals to your clients. Communicate goals to your suppliers. And then when you imagine this. Imagine this. You've got a supplier who's been supplying you with goods for a year. You walk in there and you say, hey, Bob, here's a bottle of wine. Thanks so much for being a really ace supplier for the last 12 months. Bob doesn't sit there and think, what an idiot. Bob sits here and goes, oh, hey, mate, you know, that's great. Really pleased to work with you. And do you think Bob's going to work harder with you next time or not? If you set the goals up and celebrate them, then you'll build better team immediately. Right now, today, praise someone. Hang the phone up from this, turn your computer off, and praise someone right now. Do it today. Do it lots. Say, hey, hang up from this and really make it work. That is, praise someone today. Praise lots, because we all need it. People want to be successful, and praise them right now. And the other thing is, be present. Be really present. Now, I've got the video off, but I'm standing in front of this camera and I'm speaking into this microphone and I'm right present here now. Be present in what you do. Never, ever in the next 6-8 weeks, don't be present. All your communication, all your planning, all your meetings, all your clients, all your team members, all your suppliers, be present, be positive, and be strong in what you're doing. Okay, questions and answers. Oh, we've got 2 or 3 questions. So look, just a couple of things before I answer the questions. If anyone's got a question, just smack it into you'll see at the bottom. I've got a couple of moments. I spoke too fast, as per usual. My email is kerry@acbe.co.nz, or if you'd like a copy of this presentation or you'd like a copy of the recording, I'll get Alison to smack it up onto YouTube. She'll do that. But yeah, it's great to thank you so much for making time, and be great to have a chat with any one of you about leadership and how you can build a better team. Okay. First question. Okay, here's a question. This is from John, and John said, how do you deal with clients as part of your team if they haven't paid their bill? Yeah, okay, fair enough. Look, the bottom line is that if they haven't paid their bills, then they don't understand rules of the game. Paying your bill goes back to rules of the game. When you take on a new client, you have to explain to them that rules of the game are that you pay your bill on this thing, and this is what happens, and you haven't expressed rules of the game. You haven't reviewed that with them, and I know, but if they owe you money, then they've got problems as well. But my experience is no one just does not pay you. It's a communication challenge, unless customer service has been bad. But yeah, that's about rules of the game, and I'd be explaining that as part of your terms of trade. This is how we behave. This is what we do. I've got a team of 30. I can't do one. If you've got a team of 30, then you must, Bob, you must have, I'm going to say, leading hands, foremen, team leaders. Get them to do that, and you communicate with your people. And and another one here. That's a good question. All this seems to be a lot. Takes a lot of time, and I'm time poor. True. Here's the thing. Anything worthwhile takes time, takes effort, and takes some grunt to make happen. Once you've got this stuff in place, it'll be like a helix of sustainability, a helix of personal growth, a helix of success. And you'll find, I'm not suggesting you do it all tomorrow, but these are the cores to a winning team. Okay, well, that's me for today, and I've answered all the questions. And I think we're done. So I will leave that with you now. And thank you very much. My name is Kerry Wood. I'm from the Auckland Centre of Business Excellence. And, I hope that's been of use to you. If you'd like a copy of it, please feel free to email office at acbe.co.nz or myself. Thanks for the great feedback I'm getting in the chat room. Really do appreciate it. Some of it's personal, some of it's public. But yeah, let's talk soon, and we'll have another one of these in 14 days. Best wishes, go hard, have the best time. Thank you very, very much.